Why is there so much involved in just trying to start a photography business? It makes no sense. Where is my artistic freedom? Where is everything I wanted from this? The reality is, starting a photography business is a lot of work. It's extremely time consuming. There's a lot of things that go into it, and it's not for the faint of heart. Hey, what's up you guys? Nick here. For those of you new to my channel, my name is Nick. I'm a professional photographer. I've been a professional photographer for the last 4 years, though I've had a camera in my hand for the last 16 or so since I started in high school as a hobbyist, mostly doing landscape. Right now, I am editing a B-roll video for the Nikon D40, and Nick and I were talking. We decided that this video might be important to make, not the B-roll video I'm working on right now, but the 5 hardest things when starting out a photography business. And there are a lot of things in the photography business that are really difficult when you're first getting started. And since I only got started about 4 years ago, I'm still dealing with those things now. Nick Del Duca and I talked. He's actually running the camera right now. And we kind of came up with a comprehensive list of the things that we found most difficult when we started out getting into photography, and I wanted to give you some advice on those things. Now, the big thing that seems to be on everyone's mind is finding a niche. We've got the drone for real estate. We've got these 2 old film cameras for when people want those grainy hipster looks. We've got the D5100 because I like reviewing it. We have those 2 film cameras for more hipster looks. The EOS T3 is for when I'm doing senior photos. That one right there, the D70, is for when I'm ghost hunting because it's full spectrum. I've got a Canon over here, which I don't even know why I have that Canon over there. That D5300 is doing portraits and weddings. I have that Instamatic camera down there and the Polaroid for when I'm doing shoots at different events. I have this big camera because some cat girl wants me to take photographs of her in large format in lingerie. I don't know how you dress a cat in lingerie, but apparently that's a thing. Finding a niche is probably one of the most important and one of the most difficult things when getting into photography. I know that I do a lot of, let's kind of go and do everything. We're doing landscape, we've done street photography, we've done plenty, and I mean plenty, of portrait sessions while we're going out and reviewing these cameras and kind of getting an idea behind everything. And though all those things are a lot of fun and they really expand your skill base as a photographer, I think that it's really difficult to get out there if you haven't found a niche. And I think the most important thing to do is figure out what you want to photograph. If you want to do newborns, get really good at photographing newborns. If you want to do family photos, and with family photos, I include things like engagement photos and senior photos, graduation photos, things like that. All of that is part of the family photography. Get really, really good at that. And I know people who just do senior photos. They make an entire living just taking senior photos. If you want to do landscape, that's probably one of the most difficult areas to make money in, but by all means, get good at it. Be prepared to go hiking, be prepared to take some amazing landscape photos, but finding that niche is so important to being successful in the photography business because people don't just Google photographer near me. They're Googling graduate photographer near me, senior photos near me, wedding photographers near me. So you definitely want to build up on that. And we're going to talk a lot more about that further on in this list when we're talking about marketing. Marketing is going to be at the very end of this list, so make sure that you watch the whole video so that you can see that, because marketing is the one part where Nick and I really, really go in depth. Now, one thing Nick brought up that actually wasn't on my list is portfolio building. Now, come here, Soph. Come here, Soph. Yes, we need to get those Instagram photos. We need to get those Instagram photos so we go viral. Oh, dude, everyone's gonna love the picture of her nose. Hey, we need to go viral. Get over here. We need to build that Instagram. It's all that matters in photography. Obscure cameras, cute pictures of dogs, and 30 Instagram tags. Now, I've reacted to my first portfolio, and I'll link that one up there. And I've also done videos on the importance of trade for prints and things like that, and I'll link those down in the description. But you really have to work on building that portfolio. Nick brought up a really good point in our conversation. If you have 10 great images on your portfolio and one of them is okay, that could mean the difference between having a client and not having a client. Or if someone wants to do family photos and you have a bunch of boudoir, you might lose out on some of those more conservative families looking for a photographer. And if you're trying to do this as a business, it is extremely important that you don't alienate any possible customers or anyone who might want to shoot with you or pay you for your photography. And so it's important to understand that, but on top of that, it's important to get out there. Now, I know the great debate of whether or not you should have a website. Listen, we need to come up with a website as quickly as possible. We can't start charging until we have a professional website. Man, why is it so expensive to design a website? I'm gonna have to check YouTube videos on how to design my own website. Some of these prices are ridiculous. Look at this, $25 just to design it, and then I have to upkeep it on my own? The absurdity. I thought photography business would be me taking photos all the time. I'm on the end where I don't want a website. That's just another thing for me to deal with. That's more upkeep. That is a whole nother system that I need to learn in order to run a website. And I understand the importance of it. If you want to show up in Google search results, or you want to show up when people are searching for a photographer, it's a really easy way to show up there. It's an easy way to show off your portfolio. It's an easy way to show off your pricing and the different niches that you might do photography. And you could even keep a blog. I know a lot of photographers that keep blogs on their photography websites. It allows them to reach out and really push that SEO, or the search engine optimization, which is really important in building your clientele. And word of mouth is extremely important, and we're going to discuss more of that when we get to the marketing side. But really what is super important is getting out there. Instagram is a great way to get out there because Instagram allows you to have local posts, local tags. You can tag the location that you're at so that people look up Colorado photographer or Colorado photography. Your work can come up. And it's very easy to build an audience on Instagram and build potential clients. Monetizing those potential clients is difficult, but that is the truth with anywhere. Now, Facebook and Instagram allows your portfolio to be seen by a lot of people. Everyone is on those two platforms, so it's really easy. That's how I built up the clientele that I work with when it comes to family photos, engagement photos, things like that, is on Instagram and Facebook. I have had a website in the past. It was just another added bonus of work that I couldn't afford to do, being that I am busy with everything else. But if you're trying to find an easy way to hit that search engine optimization when someone looks up Colorado photographer or Northern Colorado photographer, you can really bolster that with a good blog on your website. So number two, I think, is the biggest shock to everyone, and that's time management. What? I don't have any shoots this week. All the photos are editing. There's nothing else that goes into a photography business than that. Shooting and editing. It's all that matters. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. I hate the flood. Believe it or not, when you shoot professionally, about 10 to 15% of your time is spent on actually taking photographs, or at least taking photographs for pay. You always want to be going out and you always want to be taking photos to hone your craft and to always be improving yourself. But the reality is, on the business side of photography, most of your time is not taking photographs. Taking photographs is the fun part. That's probably why that is what you do least of all. Now, taking those photographs, yes, very, very important. But what's more important than that? Marketing. You have to be able to sell yourself. You have to get out there, you have to market yourself, you have to get out there, and you have to run this business. And running the business requires paperwork, it requires taxes, finding clients, scheduling, charging, invoices. All of the business side makes up about 60% of what you're going to be doing. Now, where does that other 30% go? That last little 25 to 30% is all in editing. Clients expect a certain style from photography now. Editing is so absolutely important. I have a whole video on that, which I will link right up there. But editing is the new darkroom. We gave up the darkrooms, we traded it for editing. Editing your photos is absolutely imperative to make it as a professional photographer. If you're doing family photos The sky might be blown out. You're gonna have to learn how to replace that sky. Someone might have a blemish that isn't gonna make them look flattering. They're gonna blame the photographer. You need to learn how to Photoshop that blemish out. Editing takes up so much of my time. In fact, I'm shooting a video while editing a video because that's how much time editing takes out of what I do as a professional. And I know that YouTube isn't really the professional side for me, but YouTube is extremely important in building my brand so far. I've had people reach out because they've seen my YouTube videos, they want to do workshops, they want to learn under me. Editing is like that 25-30%. Actually taking photos is like 10 to 15%. And really running the business side of things takes up the vast majority of your time as a photographer. I have to write out about 2 or 3 invoices a week. That takes time. I have to mail those out. I have to make sure I get paid. I have to make sure that I get my taxes correctly. I have to go out to the location, take the photographs, deal with the realtor, deal with a new realtor, explain to them what's going on, manage everything. And it's a very delicate balancing act. But when I first got into photography, I thought I was gonna be taking photos and editing, and I didn't realize how much work went into the back end of it. And it is a lot of work. And when you're first getting started, you can't hire an accountant to do your taxes. You can't hire someone to send out your invoices. You can't afford to hire someone to run your Facebook, to run your Instagram, to run your portfolio, to build you a website. I mean, maybe you can, but then are you really making a profit off of your photography? Because that's ultimately the goal, is to turn a profit at the end of the day while doing your photography. So time management is so important, but I think the big thing that I see a lot of photographers run into, and if you guys want to see a video on just this topic alone, let me know. We'll totally do a video just on that, and that is pricing yourself. Ah, yeah. We've got 253 free shoots this week. Let's go and take some photos. Now, you have all been along my photography journey since I was a greenhorn in photography with my very first video, and I will link my reaction to that up there. And one of the things I said that I struggled with was confidence. And it wasn't just confidence adjusting the people that were modeling or my clients to get good photos, but it was selling myself. Selling yourself is extremely difficult, especially in a world where everyone wants free photos. I think all photographers can attest to the difficulty of that. But if someone is approaching you because they found your work on your portfolio, they are willing to pay you. Now, the problem with that is determining, are you underselling yourself or are you overselling yourself, and are you losing clients because of that or not making the amount of money potentially that you could be otherwise? The way I look at it, your first year of shooting photography, the vast majority of your work is going to be free. There's really not a way around that. You are trying to build a portfolio. You are trying to get your name out there. Now, after about 6 months to a year of shooting for free, I started offering cheap shoots. So I would do engagement photos, or I would do graduation photos or even senior photos for a relatively cheap price. We're talking $50. It took an hour, hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours to do those shoots, but $50 was a really good, I'm still new to this price. Now, as my work got better and as demand for what I do became more increased based on my online portfolios, I moved that to about $100 per hour. Now, $100 per hour is a relatively cheap price in my area. It's important to understand the market is dictated by the area that you're in. Now, to find that average, look at other photographers' websites, look at their work, compare your work side by side, non-biased as you can, to their work to determine whether or not you can charge that much per hour, or if you need to charge less than that per hour, or even more than that at times. But finding that market average, literally what I went through is I looked up local photographers. I went to every single one of their websites. I compared all of their different prices. I found a median, determined that my skill base at that time was not at that median, so I went slightly under, which is where I got $100 an hour. Now, I am still under the average, but that's more because I am using more budget-friendly cameras, I'm using more budget-friendly techniques, and I am still learning my trade, which is why I always show my mistakes. So I charge approximately $150 an hour currently. I could probably get away with charging $200 an hour, but most of my clients right now are repeat clients because I mostly work with realtors anymore. And 150 an hour keeps me at about just under the market average for a realtor photographer, though when I get my drone pilot's license, I will be charging more for that. And as I'm learning video, which we will be doing a lot more of those videos here soon because Nick is going to kindly put me through a video boot camp, I will start charging more for my services at that point. But I am a still frame photographer currently. I would say my skill level is average and comparable to the people charging 150 an hour in my area. And I will up those prices probably next year as my skill set continues to improve. But what you need to remember is when you start pricing yourself, you're going to start losing clients. There's no way around that. There's so many people that want free shoots, they want free photography. There's plenty of photographers willing to give it to them for free. Do not be afraid to lose out on potential clients because you want to charge. There's plenty of people out there willing to pay for professional photographers done by a professional. There's not as many as there used to be, but they are still out there, and it is still possible to make a living, especially if you niche. If you become the best in your area at engagement photos, you're gonna have people approaching you for those engagement photos. So just remember to price yourself fairly, because when you price yourself too low, not only are you cheapening your skills and your investment, but you're driving the prices down for all the photographers around you. That's why I have a problem with people who are been shooting for 10, 15 years. Their shots are absolutely amazing, professional, way beyond anything that I can do, and they still are doing work for free. It cheapens the market as a whole, and we are a community, and we have to remember that. So definitely go out, look at what other people are charging, and find about where you stand in that and determine whether or not you can charge more or you can charge less, and find that inner confidence to charge more for your work. So other Nick is on his government mandated union smoke break, as you can see right over here. So I am taking control of his magical witchcraft device known as a gimbal. I use a Steadicam because I'm not a witch, and Nick is obviously a witch. But the honorable mention for this list, and remember to stay to the end because we're going to talk about marketing. The honorable mention for this list is gear. These are mail keys. See, we're going to go check the mail because my most important piece of gear should be here by now. The one piece of gear I need for when I can start charging for photography, because everyone knows you have to have everything before you can start charging for photography. It's absolutely imperative that you have every single piece of gear for any type of photography that you could possibly run into before you start charging. You can't just go out and only have a single lens. You have to have everything ready for you. And so we're gonna check the mail. I've got some mail coming in from Eastern Europe, the Eastern Bloc to be specific, that's been stuck in customs since May 15th. So fingers crossed it has arrived, because if it hasn't arrived, I'm gonna be still mad at USPS for dropping the ball once again. You know how funny it'd be if I actually got my plates? Nothing. Not a single thing. Well, it looks like we can start charging next week when our mail arrives. Choosing your gear is really hard when you first get started as a photographer. You want to buy a really good camera. You want a full frame camera. I think I have proven throughout my channel that you do not need a full frame camera to take wonderful, stunning, and professional level photos. Now, what you need to remember though, is when you're budgeting for a camera, you're not just budgeting for a camera. You have to budget for a computer for editing. You have to budget for lenses, camera batteries, accessories, a tripod. I have a whole video on this that I will link right up there. But it is important to know the gear that you need to buy. Not only that, but you need to understand what gear to bring to a shoot. You're not gonna bring a 500mm f2.4 art lens to a portrait shoot. Portrait shoot, you're gonna bring 35 and 85 or a 50mm prime, or a zoom lens that'll do 28 through 100, something like that. No, but for reals, you guys, you don't need everything all at once. It is important to have some gear, but you can get started with a simple D5300, which I will link my review for up there, and a cheap 50mm prime. That's the perfect portrait setup right there. And if you get really good with that setup, there's no reason that you can't start charging to do single portraits or even couples portraits extremely easily. Now the last thing we need to discuss that I promised since the very beginning of this is marketing. Well, now that we picked a website, we need to figure out our logo. We can't market ourselves until we have a logo. We can't have a website without a logo. We can't do business cards without a logo. This is way too stressful. Way too stressful. Who can make me a good logo? What does intros for YouTube have to do with logos? Ooh, this person looks promising. Very simple, very designy. $85? I feel like marketing is the most difficult part of becoming a photographer. Now, we've talked about people undermining the market and doing cheap or free photo sessions, which hurts everyone in the community. Not only that, but actually getting your name out there. Everyone with an iPhone 7 or above thinks they're a photographer. So you have to find a way to set yourself up beyond that. Now, we talked about the importance of finding a niche and shooting really well in that niche. But really what's important with marketing is not forgetting all the local and free available resources to you. Literally, I get clients just by posting on Facebook Marketplace. I post on Facebook Marketplace. I find the local buy, sell, and trade groups, grassroots efforts, doing flyers in coffee shops, leaving your business card in other businesses, word of mouth. Make sure if you're shooting someone for free, they are posting those images and tagging you. See, my trade for prints contract specifies that they have to post them onto their Facebook and they have to tag me as the photographer. Things like that. If you're doing shoots with family and they're not posting your photos, what is the point of doing them? As we discussed in the Trade for Prints video, which I will put up there, it has to be mutually beneficial. If people aren't sharing those images, you're not getting your name out there, and you're shooting for no reason. But marketing is so absurdly, absolutely important, and I think that that is a spot that many photographers absolutely just overlook. You need to market yourself. Again, Facebook, Instagram. Don't be afraid to pay for ads on Google. Don't be afraid to pay for ads on Facebook. You can do it relatively cheap, especially if you're just getting started. Like, it doesn't matter if you spend 10 or 15 bucks a month on marketing. If you get one shoot out of that, it is paid for itself. Not only that, but definitely hit that grassroots. Go out, put up business cards in local businesses, talk with local businesses, see if they'll help you out, see what you can do to help them. Do like trades, things like that. Be a part of the community. That grassroots effort is word of mouth. Word of mouth is the most important part of marketing that you could ever hope for. And it's absolutely just the truth. If you're a really good photographer and you are respectful and you are respected, you do good work and you have a fast turnaround, then people are gonna talk about it. People are gonna say it. Don't use a watermark. I have a video about that. It's right here. That is going to be the only angry part of this entire video. Special thanks to Nick Del Duca for shooting the B-roll for all this and shooting the main video for all this. I'm sure it's going to look amazing. Please like, comment, and subscribe. At 1,500 subscribers, I'm giving away a print of this photo right here. According to the votes currently on my community page, we're going to be doing that as a metal print. If you'd like to vote, go to the community page. All votes will be counted up until I actually give that print away. At 5,000 subscribers, I'm giving away a Nikon D5100 with a Yongnuo 50mm f1.8 prime. So make sure you guys subscribe, share the video if you enjoyed it, comment down below if you have any suggestions. If you want to see a whole video on just marketing your photography business, definitely comment that down below as well. If you guys want to see some content, let me know what kind of content you are all interested in. You guys have a wonderful afternoon, and I will catch you all on the flip side. Bye.